Alright, and we're back here past that horrible mountain maze, ready to read another letter before setting off to wherever Zonde happens to be staying and keeping that crystal. Right, so... oh dear. That's not good. It is always quite a shame to lose something sentimental to you, so I definitely have to give some advice to Sarah. Okay, this is really just my first guess. I mean, maybe that won't work, but I want to check, you know. It's like the whole have you turned the power on/off question. You gotta start with that, then continue on to the other things that are important. Now, unfortunately, we do have to take the Invincible all the way over to Zonde's lair, because while the Nautilus would be faster, we're gonna need this big old barge to pass some mountains. So, if you remember, this is the area we want to go. To be fair though, I didn't show the path leading up to it, I just showed the area itself. And no, we can't actually pass the statues with our giant ship. But the thing is, we're going to need the ship to actually pass more mountains after we destroy the statues, so really this is just wasting our time and trying to get us into more random battles, so thanks a lot for that game. I really appreciate it. Oh boy, a pointless fight. So all these guys are pretty tough, and they will kind of tear you apart. Oh, wait, didn't we fight a greater Liger earlier? We fought some sort of Liger, I remember making that joke. But yeah, these enemies are pretty tough early on, and they can't actually match you by this point. They can hurt okay, trust me, they can hurt a fair amount. I mean, the only reason they're not doing much damage is because William's in the back row. That's the only reason. Okay, but in all seriousness, they can kill you very early on. If you come here too early, yeah, they will really screw you up. You won't have much of a chance against them. But that takes care of that. Again, thanks for the pointless fight there, game. Really nice that you had me get out of my airship so I can destroy some statues, then get back into the airship and fly through the mountains. Real nice of you. It's really just a time waster. I mean, I get there had to be a barrier there to prevent airships from getting past normally, because if you could do that... oh, we're actually having our first aerial battle, and we haven't actually had any sort of airship battle on the Nautilus, so you won't really notice the huge difference when you're on the Invincible, because there is one last thing it does. If you get into a random battle here, it'll just fire a cannonball at the enemies from the start, so that'll take off some of their health, which is very much appreciated. But those are fairly easy enemies, so let's not focus on them. We've passed them, they weren't important. Right, where was I before? Oh yeah, they did have to prevent you from getting by in an airship, but when you have the fangs, I don't know why they didn't just program it so, really? So that you could pass it in the airship, you know, so it only reflect you when you didn't have the fangs. But that would have been, oh, I don't know, good game design? Pfft, why would you expect that in Final Fantasy III? I mean, come on. This is what, part 24? Yeah, part 24. And you haven't learned by this point that Final Fantasy III is poorly designed? I mean, there are 23 other parts for you to see that, and have me talk about it non-stop. Okay, now, with no more interruptions, we can disembark here and enter one of the final dungeons, but not the full one. If we had to go through the entire dungeon, I probably would wait at least a little while. Or maybe not, I kind of want the jobs now. Ignore the Ancient's Maze, this isn't important. Don't look at it, this is all spoilers, we're not going to be going here for a while. Don't pay attention, please. This is all you need to look at, this Earth Crystal right here. Thanks, now I'm going to have to make this dual screened. I always love it when I had to edit like that. It's not like it screws with the format or anything, certainly not. So this is our boss for this area. This is Titan. And yeah, we already have a recolor of Hecaton Chair, even though we just fought him. You're probably supposed to fight him a little later. After all, he is level 46, and he's also got 29,000 HP, 96 attack, 24 defense, and the spell Quake, which he will use more often than Hecaton Chair did. Though thankfully, as I said earlier, there's no earth elements. So it's not like he's going to absorb that attack, and thank goodness for that, because we really don't need a random chance to heal the boss. This guy is pretty tough as is, and you might have noticed, but I am actually starting to protect myself. Not with Dante, even though he could help out. I need him on healing duty. Instead, I decide to equip the Sword Defender on Ayla, so that when using it, she could cast Protect on whatever member of the party I choose. Again, I really wish it would protect the entire party, but apparently we're not having that. His attacks do get really powerful though, so that's why I'm actually protecting here. Because if I don't, well, I had a fair few runs where he kinda just wrecked me. Like, he doesn't seem that tough initially, but he really wears you down, and once he starts using Quake, yeah, that's the point in which you're in quite a bit of danger, because, like with most bosses, he can use that once and then attack a character, and then that character will be dead. Because that is how it goes in Final Fantasy III. For the DS, enemies just attack more than once, which is great because they can just do a high damaging party attack and then do a high damaging physical attack, and it's so fun. It's great. It's fantastic. It's lovely. It's great. I love this game design so much. It's great. I'm so glad that they decided to have all the bosses attack 2+ times. It's great. Well, at least I have Dante, and he's kinda starting to heal better at this point. Do wish he'd heal a little more, but he's doing the job at the very least. He's keeping us from being completely killed by Titan. Partially because I have been casting Protect, but still, nonetheless. Do wish that terrain did a little more damage as well. Actually, is that doing more or less damage than a belt beatdown would? Somebody knows math, right? You could get a rough estimate of it. Oh, there he goes. He's using Quake now. It's not just me, and oh, look at that. Dante's almost dead. And now at this point, it's pretty much luck, because if he attacks the same character twice, well, he can't attack the same character twice, but if he attacks a character who is at yellow health, then they're kinda dead. And that's not good. I don't think I've taken off too much health. Thankfully, that will take off a lot of health. Thank you, Shadow Flare! Man, it's almost a shame that I'm going to be replacing Geomancer at this point, because, honestly, Geomancer's been nothing but helpful. Seriously, I've gotten 3 Shadow Flares in this game, and they've all been so very helpful. Helped me beat Hein, helped me beat a Behemoth, and now it helps me beat Titan. So, yeah, consider that the Geomancer's last hurrah. Geomancer, we'll miss you. You've been a very good class to me. And I mean, I know the other classes were good as well, but you know what? Your terrain ability is something else. But nonetheless, it is time to move on. We have now rescued the Earth Crystal, meaning everybody but Dante is going to class change. Because there are plenty of classes to choose from in this version of the game, let me tell ya. And the NES version, on the other hand, you only got 3 classes to choose from, because you got one of the classes, Black Belts, at an earlier point in the game at the Water Crystal. So you had that one for a while, and it's pretty good. But yeah, you get it here instead, and there are also 2 jobs that would have appeared in the one of the secret dungeons, or optional dungeons rather. It's not secret, the game tells you about it, but it is optional. But yeah, the you get it from an optional dungeon, or two of them, rather. So, in the NES version, you got three classes, all of them magic-based. You got the Devout, the Magus, and the Summoner. You'll know what those are in just a minute, but first I'm going to actually class change. So we got a bunch of ones to choose from, of course, at the beginning of the game. Xavier was a monk, so now he's going to upgrade to a black belt. Of course, I'm going to cycle through jobs I can't actually see at the moment first because that font is tiny to me, but yeah, he's going to be a black belt. Dante is going to stay the same. Ayla, of course, is going to be a ninja. Love that outfit. And William is going to be a sage. So yep, that's going to be my party for the rest of the game. Pretty good looking party, right? But that's not quite it, of course, because future me is going to have some class information for you. For me, however, that is the end of this episode. So, next time on Final Fantasy III, I don't know, maybe we'll go to Doga's Manor, or maybe we'll be going to pursue some things, some loose ends, we'll call them, that have been loose for at least a little while. Not in terms of we could actually get to them, but in terms of we've known about them for quite a while. At least one of the three anyway, but hey, maybe we'll go to Doga's Manor. Who knows what we'll do? We're gonna go to Doga's Manor, actually. Spoilers. First up on our list of new jobs is the Black Belt. Black Belts are basically upgraded monks, in that they're very good at punching things. One of the only major differences in terms of their actual abilities are they switch out Retaliate with the Boost command. Boost can be used twice to increase attack power. Use it a third time, and you will explode. No, seriously, you will accidentally use the Self-Destruct ability, which will cut half your HP. And you don't want that. However, their stats are, well, quite a bit better than just a normal monk's, because eventually they max out on strength and they max out on vitality. They're also fairly fast as well, so all around, they're a very good class if you want a pure damage dealer. Next off is the only other pure physical class from the Earth Crystal. It's the Ninja. Originally one of the most broken classes in the game, they could use quite a bit of equipment, and while they have a very good selection in this version, it is fairly largely cut from the original. They also have something inspired by a certain item from that game. Originally you had the Shuriken item, which, when used, would kind of act like arrows in that you'd throw them, they'd be powerful, but they'd deplete. Similarly to that, in this game, we have the throw command, in which you can throw pretty much any given weapon for a certain amount of damage. And trust me, it is quite powerful. They might not have the exact same equipment to use for their normal attacks, but on the other hand, they can throw about anything in your inventory, so they're still pretty effective. As for stats, naturally they're very quick, and they are fairly powerful. They don't have the most HP, unfortunately, and they're not exactly the best for taking hits, so stat-wise, while Ninja is fairly powerful, they might be a little lacking in that regard. Next off, we have Devouts, which are more or less just upgraded white mages. They have access to the final level of white magic and can use mostly the same equipment as the white mages. However, the thing about them is, while they are, for all intents and purposes, upgrades, it's really only their mind stat that gets a huge boost in comparison to the old class. It is very good, but the thing is, their other stats actually take a bit of a hit. Anything not magic is either the same or lower than a white mage's. I mean, it's kind of weird that by design, some classes become completely obsolete once you unlock other classes, but at the same time, weakening a later class just, not even to make another one better, it's all around just really weird. I mean, no matter what, use a Devout instead of a white mage, but still, it's just odd how they went about it in this version. And now for Magus. Same thing as Devout, only with black magic instead. No, seriously, it's pretty much the same. They can use all levels of black magic, but they lose the ability to use bows, and also only their magic stats increased. Everything else, again, either the same or lower. Summoners are also very close to the Evoker class. Unlike Evokers, each of their summons only has one attack, their ultimate attack. Chocobo gets Chocobo Kick, Shiva gets Diamond Dust, Ramu gets Judgment Bolt, Ifrit gets Inferno, Titan gets Earth and Fury, and the last three we still haven't seen in the game. So you don't have a random chance, you just get a very powerful attack instead. Stats again don't matter, and all of them quite frankly are fairly low with the exception of their magic stats. And their magic growths are, well, the exact same as the Evokers, so no difference there. And now, the last class in the game and the second broken class in the original version, it's the Sage. Sages are able to use all levels of every single magic in the game. Yes, that includes summons. You won't get the ultimate attack from them, it's just the Evoker's version, but still, having them is pretty nice. Stat growths, of course, they're not exactly a red mage, so their strength isn't amazing, and their agility isn't that good either. I do think there's an advantage to having a slow healer, but if you want a fast one, sorry, you're out of luck, look for a Devout instead. However, their vitality is actually surprisingly high for a mage, so they'll have some pretty good HP, all things considered. And of course, their magic stats in general are very good. As for MP growths, they're actually the same as the Onion Knights. Now, there is one thing that all the mages get that includes Devout and Magus, and that's the fact that they don't actually have that many low-level spell charges. So, level 1, I believe that the original classes such as White Mage and Black Mage got 99 uses of that, but these new classes, no, they don't have as many of those spells to use, but they do get more higher-level spells, which isn't the most important thing. You probably never need 99 level 1 spells, especially given how useless they are, but I did want to point that out. And that wraps it up for all the jobs. And thank goodness, I'm free from having to talk about them. And now, everyone in the party is as well dressed as they could possibly be. Seriously, look at them, they're all cool. Except maybe Dante, I'm not too keen on that Onion Knight design. And kinda William as well. It's not a bad outfit, Sage is kind of the replacement for Red Wizard, so I'm kind of bitter that they don't look quite as good as a Red Mage. Like in Final Fantasy I, where you had the Red Mage, except with armor. That looked pretty cool. Those days are long gone.